We're going to paint it. We're going to put the decals on it. Make the repairs as necessary, whatever it takes. After I get it painted, I will take a spray oil can and spray some light oil in each one of those little segments. You can see them in there. Just enough to get the dust off of it. When you're spray painting, if you paint it in a static position as it is, then you will have a place right underneath the back side of this that will have a dry spot in it. So you need to turn this at some point so that you can paint that, keep that in a wet condition when you're painting. So you need to turn this. One of the tips is to put a small hole in this masking tape where you mask that spark plug hole, also in this side. That way when you turn this, the pressure from the piston won't make the masking tape come loose on the edge. Fold you over a small corner when you come around where you end. That way you can get a hold of your masking tape and remove it. But you see I masked this separate from that. I'm going to let this overhang, fold her down there, come on around, like that. That way I can turn this and it won't disturb my masking tape, because you do not want to paint the area where the backing plate for the magneto goes, because that needs to be electrical contact. Also, it's the machining on that area is really close. I put the shaft in here, masked around that. I left it even with the side there so that when I get it painted, I can pull it out. If you leave that sticking proud over yonder, you'll paint that and then it won't come through the hole. This way you've got a clean hole. The air tube, you see that I have removed the paint primer on this end down here that goes in the engine block. But do not install this at this present time. If you put that in there and paint the engine with this in the engine, you'll have a dry place on the back of this that won't have any paint on it. That was the reason to cut in the bottom of the engine and the top of the manifold so that everything, and the top of the gas tank, that was the reason for that, because that you cannot get the paint up in there. With that said, I'll paint this by itself. I will put that little solid block, you put that right up in there, and then kind of just snug that set screw up. Do not forget, in this case I've got a drill bit that is exactly the same size of that hole for that vent in your gas tank. Just put a piece of wire or a drill bit in that hole to protect it from being painted shut. It will pull a vacuum on your gas tank if you do not do that. Remember to remove it, whatever you use, before that you put the engine in service. Do not paint anywhere that a gasket is going to go. I am going to prime this segment gear, just a spot primer, light, and we'll get the first coat of green on here. Now that's not to say that the next engine that I repair, paint, whatever the project is, I probably go about it a different way. That's to say that this is not the only way to do this. If you have something that you do that you have success with, by all means carry on. Tack all of your parts. This is, I'm going to paint the air breather assembled loosely. I want a gap between those two surfaces, all three of those parts, so that I can paint all sides. There will be an adjustment made later in that area, is the reason to do that. Also, I measured how far this goes down into the crankcase and removed the primer and masked off that distance so I will not have an interference when I put this air tube into the engine. If I might add, this is Rust-Oleum primer. And I was kind of looking back, and I have painted more than 70 Model 92s with this Rust-Oleum green, dark hunter green over a primer. I think it's over 70 92s that I have painted this color green. It's not an exact match, but you know, if you go down there to the parts store and you have some paint mixed and it costs you, let's say, 60 bucks to get that newfangled super duper paint to paint a Maytag, and it's not the exact match, I say, what have you gained? Out of all of the engines that I have painted, and that's not counting the 2 cylinders that I have painted Rust-Oleum black. Time for them parts. From what you see now, I put 3 coats on, where if it needs it or not. And don't forget to remove the pin we had in the vent. We'll get this plug. We got that plug out of there. I'm going to let this dry for till tomorrow, and then I'll come back and we're gonna put her together.